Don't clap, don't Dave.
You knew I was about to,
fucking
didn't
do
you?
it. I looked at you and I saw your scummy little face smile.
It's because we have to clap for our literal actual TV show every weekday at 6 p.m. on Jinx Esports TV, Sky 433.
What is it on Virgin?
It's not anymore, is it?
No, it's not. I'm eating breakfast biscuits. Look how burned this breakfast biscuit is.
They've burned your breakfast TV. Wait, stay still. I'm taking a screenshot of that. That is going to be attached to the pod. 100%. We are going to remember to post this screenshot. I'm gonna send it to you.
But that's like actually burned.
That is. You should get your money back, mate. That's disgusting.
Who is it from? I think
it's a weird screenshot. Look at it like it's like a 3D fucking breakfast biscuit effect.
My hand does not look like it's attached to an arm.
This is the voice of God. I am a breakfast biscuit. I turned myself into a breakfast biscuit, Morty.
Morty. Funniest shit I've ever seen, Morty. Yeah. That's so dry. Let me have a sip.
Are you going to be crunching during the intro?
Not anymore, I'm not. Right. Take it down. Hey, yo, what's up, team? Welcome to episode number 52 of the SubPar Poddy C. Officially,
unofficially,
the only episode that has been recorded from my house. Normally I'm on the street, Cole. Typically, more often than not, I go in the middle of Matalan and just start recording from there.
Is that why I always have to chop out in the edit, like bull blokes just calling you a prick and telling you to vote UKIP?
No, that's when I used to live at home.
That was your dad.
That was old Papa Goblin. This is number 52 episode of the C Poddy, and we are going to be talking about E Regional 3 and NA Regional 3. And we also asked people to ask us questions on Twitter to see, because normally we get people to ask questions to our guest, and we felt a little bit left out. So cop out our tweet and was like, hey, do you want to fucking ask us some questions this time? And they did.
Amazingly.
So we're going to be talking about them.
I wasn't expecting pretty much any responses. And we got, I believe it was 11, which is a decent amount of questions. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Not
if
bad.
we had bloody Yukio on and he got 11 questions, I bet he'd be like, yeah, 11 questions, we'll take that. So
You think
we'll take that
Yukio would be
too.
happy with 11 questions?
All right. Turbo.
Did you see how many Cronovi got? He got like 2 pages worth of our dog.
Yeah, but
it was a bit much.
that's true. All right, sorry, Yukio. You should have got
Who
3 pages.
Who do you think we can get on that would get the most questions?
Ricky Gervais.
No. Slam it. I would have gone with like Obama. I think in esports, who could we get on that would get the most questions?
Richard Lewis. Because people would ask him stuff about, hey, Richard Lewis, do you think that T1 esports were lucky in their 2015 quarterfinals versus Taiwan esports?
Andy's quite divisive. Also, you said you're going to be chewing during this intro. Yes, apparently I am. I do apologise.
I'll go
Yeah,
Richard
he's quite
Lewis.
divisive.
He's mine. Who's
as
yours?
well. Divisive people will always get attention. And we will not be talking about the debate that happened last night, everybody, because I've not watched it yet. And I don't want to talk about the divisiveness that happened in the US with Biden and Trump's debate, because that looked bloody fun. The memes this morning have been brilliant.
It just looked not very good, really. Neither of them that great, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't vote.
I'm going to swiftly move on, because I said we're not talking about it, and you obviously should vote. And if you don't vote, you are complicit.
Yeah, carry on.
I think,
Yeah.
who is divisive enough or loved enough? Golden Boy. I'm going to go Golden Boy because he is so loved and he's worked in so many different esports that he would get questions from every single crowd.
But he's quite open, though. I feel like I could send him a DM. Go, hey, Golden Boy, how'd you get started in esports? And I bet he's so lovely
Do it.
that he'd send me a 3...
Do it.
You just said that.
Do it now.
All right, I'm doing it.
Let's do those exact words. Hey, Golden Boy. Can you do hey at Golden Boy?
No.
Even though it's just a private
No,
DM.
I'm messaging. All right, okay. For goodness sake.
So, hey, Golden Boy, how did you get started in esports was your exact wording.
Yeah, okay, I'll send that.
You're like a guy on Tinder saying hey. He has had so many questions that are that.
He's got to follow me back, I think.
Did he not follow you?
Does he follow you?
Fuck
I
no.
wasn't following
Hang
him,
on.
to be fair. I've followed him now.
Does he follow me? I'm waiting for it to load in. No.
That's a shame.
That is a shame.
Well, he would do that.
Maybe tweet him.
Mate, to be fair, his pinned photo, his pinned picture, he's doing a good impression of you.
Oh, yeah, well, let's not. Do you know what I mean? Like
that is a slow burner because people are going to pause the podcast right now. They're going to go on Twitter. They're going to search Golden Boy. Going to click on his name. They're going to look for the pinned photo, and they're going to go, "Oh,
it was that." I mean, also the fact that he's got a picture with The Rock is pretty cool. I kind of forgot that he did the Titan Games.
I never saw an episode. Did you?
Fuck no, I'm not American, but it's cool, isn't it?
It is cool. It's really cool that he's made it out of the scummy basement-dwelling esports bubble to hang out with actual nice-smelling people like The Rock.
So I think you need to tweet him directly now, Cole.
No!
So Cole, on your thing, hey, Golden Boy, how did you get started on esports? In esports?
I'm not doing it.
You're not doing it? Or maybe
No.
we can get you to do something related to Twitter a little bit later on.
No, we can't.
This episode, as ever, is brought to you, beautiful, scummy little turbo virgins, from our Patreons. And Cole, who is our latest Patreon?
We haven't had anyone new since the last one, so it's the same guy that we called out.
No, we've not.
Last time, which is harsh if you ask me, because
It is.
we're still putting out the content, chugging it out.
Yeah. People can help out on our Patreon. $1 a month, and you get to listen to every single episode early, and you get to download them and take them along with you to listen to them in any offline setting that you may encounter. So make sure that you do that. Patreon.com/SubPar, but in HD. If you think we are deserving of your dollary dues, I will dance for them, and you can stuff them in my thong.
The last person was Vancer. Thanks, Vancer. You were still the
Fuck
last one.
you,
Yeah,
Vancer.
sorry. Fuck you, Vancer. I forgot. I genuinely forgot.
He's getting his money's worth.
His tuppence worth.
He's getting his tuppence worth, and we need to get somebody in there to usurp him, tuppence-wise. So, Cole, to start us off, we are going to be talking about this smushed up week of EU Regional 3, because Regional 1s and 2s, they started off for both regions as I guess, encapsulated into a 1 and a bit week event, where it started on the Thursday with the open quals and everything, into then the following Sunday with playoffs. This week, the week just gone, it was all over the place. Yeah, we had Tuesday was EU Grid. Wednesday was then nothing, because there was the update on that day. Thursday was then NA Grid after EU Regional 3 Stage 1 Group A. Then the following day was then Group B. Then the following day was then both groups together as the top 16. And then Sunday was then playoffs. It was chock full of Rocky Logs action.
And it was tough to keep up with for us. So I presume for you guys watching on at home, it was like, oh God, what do I do today? So if anyone's listening to this and you didn't see every single day, do not worry at all. I feel like Rocket League Esports has developed into a place where it's not expected that one watches everything anymore. You tune in when it's your team, you watch days that you can, because the beauty of it is that there is so much that it'll sort of meet you around there. It's like,
and two streams. You literally can't watch it all at the same time.
That's true. Like, think of the Premiership, right? The football or NFL. Think of anything. You're not expected to watch every single game in the Premiership. You watch the highlights, you watch the games that interest you from the teams that interest you. And I'd say that Rocket League Esports' new direction is sort of following that more traditional sports model to an extent. And because it's esports, so you could have multiple events in a row. So, you can't have football 2 days in a row because their legs would come off. So yeah, we had pretty much Tuesday to Sunday filled with esports action, and it all ended up with the playoffs on Sunday, which featured the teams and the games: Top Blokes versus Endpoint, Galaxy Racer, formerly Monkeys versus Barca, Team BDS versus Dignitas, and Renault Vitality versus Guild Esports. That was on the Sunday, and what happened, Stumpy?
We were there.
Hey!
Carl, we were brought back very, very not even kindly, because we're really good at our jobs, but Rocket League Esports team, they messaged us and were like, all right there, lads, how you doing? Do you want to come back and do some of the playoffs?
We said no. They said please. We said go on then.
We said half money. They go, not how bargaining works, but we'll go with it. And I was like, you know what? You got to shoot your shot. So we ended up being on the European pre-show, which I love at the bottom of the thing. It said, welcome back, all EU pre-show. And I was like, yay! They like that it's an all EU pre-show, because it's so good chatting to Johnny and Shogun.
They could go further, because it's you and me, English. Shogun from Norwich, so not quite English, but
Not
like
quite,
technically
yeah.
within England, and then Johnny, who's also English. They could just say it's a fully English pre-show, so
They
it could
could.
actually go further than this EU thing. But once again, Shogun was the host of this pre-show, and he is wonderful. Shogun is someone that you could drop into any avenue of esports. I reckon if Golden Boy was ill for one of his days on Titan, you drop Shogun in, and he would instantly have a rapport with The Rock. The Rock would be like, "Who is this guy? I love him, though." Do you know what I mean? Like, Shogun is just so adaptable, and he was, as ever, great as a host.
I reckon Shogun could beat the shit out of The Rock.
I forget that he's actually a fighter.
I mean, realistically, Shogun, technique-wise, could beat The Rock up. But if Rock lands a single punch... The Rock. If The Rock lands a single punch, Shogun's neck is snapped.
What was it that Shogun did? Was it...
Karate.
It was karate, was it?
No.
It was...
Jiu-jitsu.
It was one of them.
It was kickboxing.
That's it. Yeah, kickboxing. That is it. So yeah, Shogun is actually like...
He did Muay Thai. He trained in Thailand for 18 years, didn't he?
Right, no, because they're going to think...
From a baby, like a
They're going to think that we're
Spartan.
joking. If you keep exaggerating, they won't realise that we're being
Not
serious.
exaggerating.
Shogun is actually very high level at kickboxing. He's won
Yeah,
trophies.
legally, he's a Spartan.
Shut up! He has
He
won
is.
all sorts of trophies. He comes from a family of kickboxing coaches. Like, if I recall correctly, he's like, he's got
Yeah, it's like
descendants.
Amadeus, his dad,
Shut
led...
up! I'm
led the
being
Spartan
serious!
army.
They're not going to believe me because you're exaggerating.
It was mental when he kicked his uncle into the
Oh, I'm
weldo.
out. I'm done with this podcast already.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to... We've done, actually, episode 52. Do you know what that is?
One episode for each week of the year?
Correct.
Hey!
Which is cool. So yeah, we were there casting Guild vs Vitality, and then we also did BDS versus Dignitas. And to start off with, if people didn't watch it, there was a little bit of a technical pause right at the start, which also, by the way, everybody in production is produced by DreamHack. And people won't know, but the entire time during a pre-show, or every now and then, we get spoken to in our ears to sort of say what the progress is, what's going on, if there's any issues, if they say, okay, throw to standings, just so we can see whatever. And they're the cues for Shogun to then throw to. We then finish up what we're saying, and then Shogun takes them and runs with them. They were giving all the directions of basically saying, okay, we've got a connection issue with Vitality, just feel for a bit. It's like for a couple of minutes. We're like, okay, cool. Chat a bit more. And then basically it got down to, I was wanting to praise them for just being so good. Behind the scenes for the Ely broadcast and the Prime broadcast, it's absolutely wonderful. I love both teams. They're so good. In the Vitality matchup, Alpha was having connection issues. And so their coach, Mount, had to come in and play versus Guild. And it was one of the most spectacular moments in esports we have seen.
Yeah, first off, shout out to Shogi as well, because suddenly he's got, I think it was in the end, it was like 4 or 5 more minutes that he had to fill and make seem natural. Was it that long? Was it 8 more minutes? Wow, yeah, so that's an extra 30% on top of what we planned, and Shogun just sort of asked us the good questions, and we all did well to make those 8 minutes as entertaining and unfilly as possible, so congratulations to Shogi and us. And then, yeah, Mount stepped in for Vitality. This was the first game of the first series that Stumpy and I casted on the day. And Mount did really well. He just played safe, didn't he? He just boomed the ball away up against Guild. He wasn't trying to be too smart. And Guild, idiot, stupid Guild, they played straight into Vitality's hands because I think it was Tho. He was like, oh, I've got an easy clearance. Tell you what, I'll pass to Fairy Peak. 1-0 Vitality. And they never looked back. It was
infuriating. The entire time, that series ended up being 2-1 to Vitality, 2-1 to Vitality, 2-1 to Vitality, with Alpha subbing in game number 2 as well. So Alpha came back and then held the same scoreline that Mount had established. It was... Guild did not show up at all on the day, and Vitality did a pretty good job of dispatching of them. It was only 1 goal in it each time, and it didn't feel like Vitality were playing at their best even in their Guild matchup. Guild just had essentially nothing to offer.
Yeah, they ramped up as the day went on to Vitality because their semi-finals was against BDS, who had beaten Dignitas in the other game that Stumpy and I casted. It was 3-2. Dignitas basically playing 11 men behind the ball, boot it into row Z. There were literally 4 minutes at a time of BDS pressure. And fair play to Dignitas, they did what we've seen Vitality be unable to do, held back BDS, because there were times where BDS really were finding each other with these touches, and defensive Dignitas seems to be the future of Dignitas.
Yeah, I mean, not even defensive Dignitas, defensive Violent Panda, where he then sits in the net and in his own third will occasionally go and grab a mid boost and then scurry back like a dirty little Dutch cockroach.
He does scurry. He probably turns, doesn't he?
He just has Yukio and Jorius go up and go crazy as much as they want to, and he will just be the assister. It was in one of the games. I think it was their series that they had prior to this one, to get into the playoffs. And Panda had something like Panda had I think 4.38 saves average per match, and Yukio was the next highest with 1. Like, he was just being the defensive man at the back, and it showed in that Yukio was much, much more comfortable. I don't think it's a game style, or a play style rather, that is going to win them any tournaments, though, because basically they can hold off and do a pretty good job, but do they have enough ingenuity to then be fed into that play style? I don't know so far, but at the same time, when they switched to more defensive, did they do better than they were in the passing play style? Absolutely. They got sussed out and they had to change it up.
Yeah, passing play style seems to be, unfortunately, old meta at this point, because teams
or
are
at least
so
exclusively passing.
I'd say 85% of infield passes now are charged down so quickly. The only sorts of passes that do seem to work regularly are those really quick ones when you have a teammate that's already gunning forward. They're about 5-6 feet away from you. You whack it to them at speed and they dodge pretty much instantly. I know that Guild love doing those ones in particular. Those infield passes still work, but yeah, the classic Dignitas style of passing does seem, unfortunately, to be a little bit second rate at the moment. But hey, we would have thought that before at the end of season 4, and they found a way to reinvigorate the passing style. So maybe Dignitas slowly but surely will bring that back. But they did get to the quarterfinals and a 3-2 loss against Team BDS. There's no shame in that at all.
They went to tournament point as well. Like, they were 2-1 up, and they won both the overtimes in game 2 and 3, and they were 2-1 up, and then they threw it, and that was gutting, because I am unashamed, just like Leaf, an unashamed Dignitas fanboy. Like, I really want them to do well, and I was very, very happy with that performance, but it just made sense, that BDS just won it, regardless, then went through to the semis.
So, Vitality finally got one over on BDS. I had actually forgotten that I predicted that on the pre-show, and everyone laughed at me. I saw Johnny shaking his head. His nose was flying in every corner of his camera as it was pointing from one end to the other. But yeah, 4-1 Vitality. They made BDS look pretty poor, really, and BDS didn't play their best. For all we praised Dignitas, BDS had a bit of a poor day. So Vitality in the final, and who were they up against?
They were up against the boys of Endpoint. And everyone here is like, record scratch. What the fuck? Yeah. Endpoint, nobody predicted them to beat Top Blokes. I had Top Blokes to win the entire thing because they looked really good, in my opinion. Endpoint took them down 3-1 and handily as well. It did not look like a particularly close series. And in our semis, Endpoint beat Barcelona, who just beat Galaxy Racer, formerly Monkeys, 4-1. Like, there was so few times when you were looking at Endpoint and you thought, this is a little bit out of their control, because they just held the game and played it their way. And that way wasn't even demos and bumps. It was just clean. It was going back to basics almost, and then throwing in a sprinkle of demos and bumps as and when you can, including Wave and Metza getting involved in that regard as well. And Metza, in that Barcelona game, played maybe the best I have ever seen him. All three players on Endpoint were incredible, but Metza stood out particularly because he was pretty much unstoppable. I was so impressed with Metz. We've always praised him on the Endpoint grid streams where he is defensive on the backboard and on the side walls. He will cut plays off before they really happen, or before they before they sort of become a dangerous position. He was doing that as well as them being mechanically flary and embarrassing Barcelona. It was so fucking fun to watch.
It wasn't just Barca either. So Endpoint did smash their way through Barca, including their now traditional blitz game where they just score about a zillion goals. I think they were 6-1 up. It finished 6-3 the final game. But Endpoint, they did the same against SNG. They did the same against I've forgotten, but somebody else in the final day of stage 2. I think they scored
it was like
7.
Was it 8-2 or 8-1
against
or something?
Someone. And then Barcelona, they won their game 6-3 as well.
That's
it, yes. 8-1.
They lost game 1, 2-1 in overtime. Then they won 3-1 8-1,
8-1, yeah.
1-0.
So they've always got a game in them where everything just connects and it's all working. And if they can, keep doing that, then they are going to start getting late in tournaments more often than not. And then against Vitality, what a performance from Endpoint. Vitality at no point looked comfortable in this series. It came down in game 6 to an overtime, and there was a lovely infield pass, one of those speedier infield passes we were chatting about earlier, which seems to be the new way of doing them, which just went over the top of the Endpoint defender who couldn't quite get back in time. I think it was Virtuoso. But every single game was fast-paced. Endpoint never let their heads drop, even if they lost an overtime. They just kept performing, and they were so exciting to watch.
The scores in that regard were Vitality 1-0, Endpoint 4-0.
What?
Vitality 2-1, Endpoint 1-0 overtime. Vitality 2-0, Vitality 2-1 overtime. Like, they were scrapey games. Like, the only confident one is game number 2, which was a 4-0. And that was like, that Vitality weren't even letting their guard down.
No.
That was Endpoint straight playing it around. And I was very, very impressed with Endpoint throughout the entire tournament, to be honest.
They were scrapey games, but only in the sense of the amount of goals scored. It was by no means a scrappy series. Both teams were playing really well. That's the thing. Vitality weren't looking staggered like they have in the past against BDS. They were still, connecting, and the solo plays were almost coming off, but Endpoint was just defending it so well, reading it so well, having so much confidence in each other as well. Like, their grid run has been dogged by, double commits in defense. And there was just nothing like that. So yeah, credit to Endpoint, and what a day's Rocket League it was. I really enjoyed it.
It was fantastic. That does also mean that we've got the final rankings for Europe, and Endpoint, they sneak into 6th place from 12th.
Nice.
They went up 6 places. Magnifico went down 6 places. And yeah, we ended up, it was so good. It was just so much fun. So Europe absolutely delivered, which is fantastic. And before we move on to North America, we are going to just quickly mention about Dignitas in the grid, which is going to be happening
today.
Christ, when is that? Is that today?
Today, yeah.
Oh my god, so that's today. So you guys will have already seen this, but Violent Panda is not going to be playing. Instead, Jesse will be subbing in because Panda, I feel really bad. Panda's hand is like playing up because of all his like tendons and whatever.
Yeah.
So Jesse is subbing in for the grid week 9 because ultimately you want to have Panda like play as well as he can in the major in a couple of weeks.
It's been coming. I'm glad that he's made that decision now. So before we move on again, Stumpy, a couple of talking points then. Final talking points from EU. Question 1. When Violent Panda does play, should he be fined by his org if he leaves the Dignitas goal?
I mean, we saw that he was, the 4th highest earning player in Rocket League, like 270 grand or something. So I reckon he can sort of give half of that, play a bit more sort of the old tax.
Every time he leaves his goal.
Every time he leaves the net, yeah. $750 every time he leaves his net. Pulled the number out of thin air, yeah.
And then, should Vitality drop Alpha for Mount?
When?
For the major.
For the major. I think in the game 1. In game 1, bring Mount out. Bring Mount out.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Oh, bring him out.
Bring him out. Yeah.
Bring him out.
It links. Oh, very good.
There we are. Oh, my God. There we go. So, yes, I think so. In game 1, shake the opponents. Because, genuinely, when Guild were playing against Mount, they straight up didn't know what he was going to do.
Nor did he.
He is an unknown factor. Nobody knew. Literally nobody knew what he was going to do. And it meant that he was completely a wild card. Is he, has been playing, can he flip reset? Literally nobody fucking knows. So yeah, no, good stuff. So that's EU done. And Cole, before we move on to North America, we have got a word from our sponsors.
This week's sponsor is us.
Yeah, it's us. So, if you guys would like to adorn yourselves in SubPar NHD merchandise,
we're wearing the same jumper, aren't we, mate? We're both wearing a SubPar hoodie today. I was well excited when we both started looking at each other and we were both wearing the same thing. I think you were less so.
I'm also wearing the shorts. Are you wearing the shorts?
I'm wearing some shorts, but not these shorts.
Okay, just for purposes, you are wearing these shorts.
I'm wearing the shorts as well, yeah.
Good. So, we are wearing the SubPar baseball hoodie that you can find at shop.subpar.gg. And if that doesn't work, because I hear that some people say it doesn't work, we are on Gamers Apparel. So have a look on there and you will see what it is that we have got. Because, it's some good quality stuff. If you do order anything, let us know on Twitter. We'd love to see a picture of you wearing all of your SubPar things. If you watch us stream, you will see Cole's got the massive SubPar flag in the background. You can get a really cool designed SubPar mouse mat. There's hoodies. They're really nice, like genuinely very good hoodies. Great shorts, great jogging bottoms. A onesie. I don't know if anybody's bought the onesie yet, but I want it.
And one day I'm hoping that we'll get to see like a SubPar hoodie on Crime Watch or the news or something. Like some idiot has tried to break into a museum and they just zoom in and they say, it seems that his hoodie says SubPar. If anybody knows what SubPar is,
or
then
just tweet,
please
it's
come
par.
forward. Yeah.
It's a light bulb. Fucking Crime Watch. Fiona Bruce, learn to read.
He seems to have testicles and a penis in his logo, but we don't
That's
know
a
what
penis.
that means.
It's like in, what is it, Austin Powers? Where they're like saying, and a big, throbbing hot dog.
Yeah.
Get your hot dog.
Yeah.
Like that. So yeah, make sure that you go to shop.subpar.gg and we would love to see what you do end up ordering. There's like mugs and stuff. Like
Unofficially.
The best t-shirts, unofficially.
Unofficially?
I don't know why you questioned that one. The best mugs. So, if you want a cup of tea, do that. Thank you, team, for visiting that link in advance. Cheers. Okay, NA Regionale Trois, because that is coming up, Cole, and it's also going to be smooshed into a week.
Yes, thankfully, each day does start later, so we should be able to do stuff before the broadcast, because it's like 5 p.m. our time as opposed to 2 p.m. our time, so there's time beforehand for us to do it and then have a break or whatever. But yeah, another big week of Rocket League esports, and this comes off the back of the Grid NA, which was last night, their final one. And for the second time in a row, I can exclusively reveal to all of you that NRG won the Grid NA last night. This is their second grid in a row. And don't forget, they won Regional 2. But it has to be mentioned that Space Station Gaming had forfeited last night because they are moving into a team house, which is just adorable.
Well, two of them are. It was Arsenal and Retals are moving in together. And I've heard through the grapevine that they are going to be in bunk beds.
Really?
Yep. They're going to, they tweet. I think they tweeted out and then Retals deleted it or something because he was feeling a bit coy. He said that they were going to be sharing bunk beds.
That is so cute.
Yeah, they can only get a one bed. They only get a one bed. So they thought, well, let's bunk it up. And so they did. Retals has bottom bunk.
I was going to say, I'd have thought that Retals would be the sort of person that would they'd sort of do rock, paper, scissors. Retals would lose. So Arsenal will be like, okay, I'll take top bunk. Then Retals literally just jumps onto the top bunk and he goes, no, you're not. Even though he's lost the rock, paper, scissors.
So that did happen, and then they had to get Chrome to go over and then pull Retals down from the top bunk. And then,
pummel into him.
Yeah, beat him up, and then put him in the bottom bunk. So Retals has been moaning about that a little bit. We've been DMing, but he said that he's okay being on the bottom bunk now, because Arsenal is a very solid sleeper.
He better be, because Chrome has broken his leg, so he literally cannot get up to the top bunk.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do as a coach, and if it means breaking your players' legs, so be it. So yeah, the top of the grid, the standings, I believe G2 have won grid regardless, right?
They have won it, yeah.
By
NRG is in
11
second.
points?
They've won it by 11 points, yeah. 1133 compared to 1122. And then if you go down another 70 points, you get Space Station Gaming. So, I mean, Space Station may well have won if they'd played that final week, but they did not.
But it also doesn't matter because they're already in the major.
G2
so.
Esports have qualified for the major!
Well, I think they did anyway. Yeah, they did already anyway.
Can we just get a big congratulations?
I mean, to be fair, right, it is a nice thing to, just know that. To be like, look, I appreciate that we literally can't not make the major anymore because we have confirmed ourselves. But it's nice to know that even if we did completely fuck up all of regionals, then we would have still made it through. I'm actually gutted that Oxygen didn't win the grid in EU. Actually, they still can't they? But they've made it through to the major anyway.
Yes, I know what you mean. So there's no sort of major...
There's no stakes. I really wanted Oxygen to just mess up Regional 3 completely. Well, I wanted them to just do terribly, right? And I'm so annoyed that they didn't. Because now they've made it through in 15th place. That's not as fun as winning the grid and battling it out against Vitality.
I agree. If you win the grid, it should give you some extra seeding points in the regional if you do qualify twice or something. Equally, that could be the most stupid statement ever made. And TOs are listening to me right now going, Cole, shut the fuck up, you stupid idiot. And if that is the case, fair enough.
No, stick to it.
I'm learning every week from you, Stumpy. If that is the case, screw you, TOs. I'm right, you're wrong, you idiots.
I personally think that is a stupid idea, Cole, but you say what you want to say. You know what I mean? I'm not going to
There was one point of interest, in particular, from the grid last night, looking at sort of long-term ramifications, and that is that Version 1 and E United played a quarter-finals, and whoever won that managed to avoid the promo relegation tournament for grid number 2. It was Version 1 who won it 4-3, meaning E United finish 11th, I think it is.
So they're in the relegation spot.
Yeah, they're 11th, and Version 1 are 10th by 20 points. So it literally came down to that final game for who survived. So
is there
AXB
a table on Wikipedia or something like showing the grid points and what stuff?
I get it through our discord.gg/subpar in HD #RLEsports text channel, where Dazzle Alec posts his own version of it every week, which is really useful. It's actually very beautiful.
But why isn't it on Wikipedia?
Because Lukash is lazy, mate. He thinks he's made it because he's repping Team Liquid now and he doesn't bother.
He's been bought out. Lukash is the biggest fucking sellout this side of Poland.
If Liquid fired him, it wouldn't be too soon.
No, genuinely. Like, can we start that? # let Lukash go.
Let Lukash loose.
Let Lukash loose. And then get him out. Get him out. Bring him out.
4 more years of Lukash.
4 more years. MAGA.
Can we get that trending?
What, 4 more years?
Yeah.
Cole, we're not getting political because I am tired.
So, some predictions for NA Regional 3, mate, which begins tomorrow, or probably today as you guys hear this. Will Rogue make playoffs in Regional 3 after failing to do so twice in a row?
You'd hope. Considering that last night they beat Envy 4-2, I appreciate that different situations, like the grid, it seems to be a completely different wheelhouse compared to regionals because it's a nightly tournament and then you've not got anything coming after that, I like to think that that's given them another boost. They should make playoffs. The fact that they were and have always been an RLCS team and haven't made playoffs yet, and which is just the top 8, is firstly telling of the old system. I think a lot of what we've got right now is telling of the old system. And secondly, is not a good look for Rogue.
They always come so close, though. Both times they've got to Series 5 and then lost it to Alpine.
Not good
so
enough.
Their run hasn't been as simple as it... Their runs haven't been as simple as they could be. Hey,
Terrible.
Look, I will not listen to any abuse of Rogue, okay? I love them. I've said it before. I don't know if on broadcast or to you, I don't know, it all gets merged into one, but I've certainly said it somewhere where I hope they never change their playstyle. And I hope that just once it pays off and they end up winning a regional.
You say you don't want them to change and you hope they win one day. Is like, to me, those two statements just completely juxtapose each other. Like, I hope that they never change it and also it works.
Yeah.
At some point.
I hope that there's a regional where everybody else is playing atrociously. NRG are doing their double commit thing. G2's passes aren't coming off and they're not in the team house. Space Station Gaming, Retals is crying over his broken legs. And Rogue just swoop through and claim the easy spoils. I'd love that. That is my dream result for Regional
Rogue,
3. Yeah.
I don't think that they would claim the easy spoils. You'd still see them going through all of that, playing as Retals, who at this point his fingers are broken or whatever, and still First Killer and Churo both commit for it because they're like, well, let's both double flip reset on shitty little Retals.
Retals disconnects, his car is just staying in his goal, and then Churo does like the world's best triple flip reset. He's got so much power on it that it bogs off the corner of Retals' Octane and just bounces all the way back to the other end. Kronovi is still trying to pre-flip for Churo and First Killer's
This is like 1-1 in overtime or something.
Exactly, yeah, in the final series, and Retals gets the winner.
Honestly, that sounds like something that would happen against Rogue. I mean, speaking to Spaceman, who does their grid run, he doesn't... there's nobody who has more discontent for Rogue than he does. He is against them the entire time and yet loves them with everything that he's got.
I think you've invented a word there that actually works really well, because I think you merged disdain and contempt to make discontent. But I mean, I hope that it's not, because what you've actually then said is you've made it like a love-hate thing. Having discontent for someone is like love-hating them. You've invented a great word there.
Is that not? There's a song by Gorbachev called "Discontempt." Yeah. Oh yeah. There's discontent.
Yeah, discontent.
This word, discontempt,
and disdain.
maybe misspelled. Oh.
It's 3 words. I didn't even think of what was the first one you said? Discontent. Yeah, so discontent, disdain, and contempt. All rolled into one neat little bundle, and that is how Spaceman views Rogue.
I didn't even realise I did that.
That is beautiful.
That's a good word, discontempt.
It is.
Oh, fun.
Word of the day.
Yeah, word of the day, discontempt. Have you, there's a TV show in the UK called Celebs Go Dating. Utter trash, all right? Genuine trash, right?
Yeah.
There is one beautiful shining light that comes out of it is the receptionist called Tom, right? Let me show you a picture of Tom, because firstly, he is beautiful, and I'll send you a picture. He is the most positive person you will ever see. He is fantastically gay. He is so happy. He compliments everybody all the time, and he uses fantastic words, right? And in lockdown, he's been doing a word of the day, and so he'll say, "Hello, everybody. Today's word is discontempt," and he'll be in Asda just doing it. And he's like, "Today's word, discontempt," and he is absolutely fantastic, and I love him. And so I might send that word into him with that definition of it's how Spaceman feels
about Rogue.
About Rogue. And he goes, "Okay, today's word, discontempt."
Oh, yeah, cool. What man? What's his name? Tom, did
incredible
you say?
Man. His name is Tom Reed Wilson.
He's got good hair, isn't he?
He's honest. I would describe him as one of the most perfect people in the world.
Nah, crow's feet.
What, you prefer Crotini's feet to Tom Reed Wilson?
He's got crow's feet around his eyes, mate. I'm going to write a 2-page report about that for The Sun.
Can you not?
Why?
Let me show you this picture. He's perfect. And he always has a little scarf. Look at him.
I do like his scarf. It looks like a Weatherspoon's plate, which I respect.
It doesn't.
The top one does.
Oh, that picture that I sent. That one there.
Yeah, the pink on blue.
With the pink.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the bottom one that is very gold.
No.
I don't know what fancy spoons you're going to when they give you gold plates.
Yeah, all my plates have got bow ties on them.
But yeah, he is absolutely fantastic. So I don't know.
Cool.
I think he has a podcast as well. Let's get on Tom Reed Wilson's podcast and talk about words.
I would love that so much. We can invent 10 words each.
We can. Speaking of which, Cole, of us hanging out with cool people, recently, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, we hung out with Hat Films. Now, people who might not know Hat Films, and Cole, you didn't, actually, to begin with. So, do you want to explain to people who Hat Films are? Because I have been a big fan of theirs for about 10 years at this point.
Any funny joke that Stumpy Goblin has ever made, and this is news to me as well, has pretty much been plagiarised from the sense of humour of Hat Films.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk for you here, Stumpy. You can correct me if and when I'm wrong. Stumpy's been following this YouTube channel for about a decade. They have been stuck on 700,000 to 800,000 YouTube subs for however long.
I think they're at 900k now, which is
finally
nice.
broke
I think
through.
it was literally 895k for about 18 months.
Which is just really impressive. And they're the sort of YouTube channel where they play a game, highlight it, whack it on YouTube, 20-minute episodes, whatever. But somebody was explaining to me that, the northern accent, whenever there's an idiot character who's always northern, he's taken that from these guys.
Yep.
Funnily enough, when we spoke to them, they'd evolved into Southerners. So it's always a Southern character that comes out doing something stupid now. Because I think they moved to Bristol, or are Bristolian?
They've been in Bristol for a few years because they are part of the Yogscast. And they joined the Yogscast 6 years ago or something, maybe a bit longer. And they have their headquarters in Bristol, so they all live in Bristol. And they're all Southerners anyway, but I think they alternate, but it's definitely more Southern at the moment.
And these lovely gentlemen, they brought us on to their stream and to make some content for their YouTube channel to play Rocket League Heatseeker. And it started off us talking about the games, talking about Rocket League, talking about RLCS broadcasts, moved on to sort of the usual topics of conversation, like how we met each other, whether grandma could sort of suck the skin off your finger. And it was just a lovely conversation that we had with them. And actually, the YouTube comments on their channel are positive about us. Like, they could very easily hate us and go, who are these guys? They're not being nice. They actually liked us, which is lovely.
Yeah. It started off where, I can't remember, because I did a video with them before when it was like completely improvised, where they just needed one more person, and our friend Casual Gamer Guy, he is friends with the Hat Films guys, and I ended up chatting to him, and he then invited me just to come on to them play for like half an hour or whatever it was, and they made a video. And then I started talking to Trot from Hat Films in DMs, and they said, hey, we've got obviously Heat Seekers out, if you guys want to do anything soon, let us know. So I was like, yeah, that sounds really good. Let's set a date for that when it goes free to play, blah, blah, blah. We could do Heatseeker private matches, all that stuff. And so we did that. And it was absolutely wonderful. I enjoyed hanging out with them thoroughly. And Colt is not exaggerating that I have got so really much funny of my comedy stuff of just speaking about things from them. Like the whole, like, sort of shouting through gritted teeth. Like, you fucking... Stuff like that is like very Hat Film stuff, the Northern, everything. So yeah, it was very, very kind of them to get us on, and they loved it, and their fans loved it, and that's what I really liked, and it was great. And Cole, you got some DMs from friends as well who watch Hat Films.
Oh,
which
yeah,
was quite funny.
Yeah, I got a couple. I got one from somebody who was my girlfriend's mate in Norwich. He's now my friend as well, but is primarily her friend, if that makes sense. And he sent me a message basically saying, because he's somebody who always has man crushes, and he's basically told me that I am now his current man crush, as opposed to
Nice.
the lovely, strong, like, handsome friend that we have that's normally his man crush. And I got a message from another friend of a friend, actually, a friend of my uni mate, who said, hi, Emil, don't tell Matt, but I now prefer you to him because you're on with Hat Films. So I was like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll take that. So there are a few people sort of dotted, friends of friends and all that.
That's funny.
Who know them, which
Imagine
is
how
great.
shocked they were, though, just watching Hat Films of an evening,
I
and
know.
then you're just there.
I know, that is a weird thing, I imagine. But yeah, honestly, I can see why you love Hat Films. They were utterly hilarious. It reminded me a lot, like, I have never felt funnier personally than when we hung out with Kasim G.
What a
RLCS
name
Vegas.
drop.
I know, which was weird as hell anyway. But he just had this way of, whenever there was a remotely funny topic, he'd just, and say I was speaking personally, I'd sort of make half a joke. He'd have this way of sort of saying a word or saying a concept to help me then flesh out the joke, because I guess he's got that experience in improv, or that's just his personality anyway. And it was the same with everyone. Everyone who was with Kasim G instantly was elevated because he was sort of pulling the strings. It's like, you know, in sport, you've got someone that's putting in the passes, you'll score more goals, right? Hat Films were the same. Anytime somebody said something, between them all and between us all when we were all chatting, the joke would sort of boil to the top and everybody would be elevated because of it. And just the ability they had to do that was so impressive.
It got very messy at times.
It did get messy because there were 6 of us speaking over the, you know, on microphones. But I think that we all managed to speak the right amount, especially for you and me, because it's tough. Do you know what I mean? We're coming onto their home ground, essentially.
Yeah,
we don't want to sort of come in and go, actually, I'm really funny. Everyone listen to me. I'm making an impression. But equally, you don't want to talk not at all and just be silent. So it's a really tough balance. And, you know, go us. We did well.
Yeah, it was really fun. So, guys, if you want to watch, there were 3 videos in the end. They ended up going out on Hat Films channel. So if you just search, I think it's Hat Gaming is the channel, because they changed it out. So yeah, Hat Gaming. If you head over there, we are in the 3 videos entitled Pro Rocket League Players Go Easy on Us, where we're in the thumbnail as well. So picture us, Cole and Jinx. Gumming with Granny. The thumbnail. I sent you the thumbnail, didn't I? I'll put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
It's so funny.
It's Ross, because they do like a calendar every year as well. And so like last year they had like a naughty granny that Ross dressed up as. And I guess that they then just took that and just made his mouth really wet and dribbly. And it says Gumming with Granny. It's a game show where you put food in Granny's mouth and she doesn't have any teeth, so she has to gum it and guess what it is. But then the idea then became you can't let her see it, of course, so then you put it through a glory hole. So like you put like a bit of like medium rare steak and Granny has to gum it and tell you what it is, or like a quaver or something. And the final one was the one-dimensional man, which was Ricky Gervais.
I've just clicked on that. First comment I've seen is Trot said Imaginarium in the warehouse, and my brain translated that to we're going to make a Willy Wonka style Hat Films factory. Probably just wishful thinking on my part. Probably. At any rate, I've said before, but Cole and Stumpy fit in really well. More content with them in the future would be most welcome! ! How nice is that? From Jack Mack. And his name rhymes. Brilliant.
Oh, big old Jackie Mackie.
Jackie Mackie Ding Dong.
Oh, God, the full comms moment. Because there was a point where where Cole, I think you suggested, amazing idea, to just go full comms. Because these guys obviously hadn't like done like comms previously. Because they're like silver kind of level in Rocket League.
Uh-huh.
So we were like, yeah, go on, we'll just do full comms. And to be fair, Cole, me and you, I said everything that I would have normally said.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Literally, I'm up, back,
left.
getting boost.
I've got 100 biscuits, go
Stuff
along. You
like
take them out.
Very serious things, right? And so everybody did that, and just the audio quality went to absolute shit. And one of the people commented saying, God, the full comms moment was so funny, he couldn't see my cooking through the tears. But yeah, it was very, very fun. So make sure everybody go check out Hat Gaming. Those 3 videos, fantastic. Edited by Craig, who is an absolute genius as well. Their editor, lovely, lovely guy. And it's in some of the videos too. So yeah, Hat Films, beautiful people. Hopefully we can meet them one day. I've met them before as a fan at conventions, but we've to hang out with them would be really cool. Would be really fun. So, Cole, shall we look at some questions from people off Twitter, because you asked for them and that?
Yes, we should, yeah, because we've done this before and then forgotten to answer them when it's just you and me. So let's actually answer them this time.
Okay, so the first question to us both is from Thomas J. 1501 9162. What has been your favourite addition in Rocket League since the new update? Have ye found anything underwhelming? Also, as Stumpy Goblin, I don't know much about it, but Brexit means Brexit.
Cool. Lovely
Cheers,
addition
Tom.
at the end. I respect that he
Cheers,
admits
Tom.
he doesn't know much about it. The Merc, for me, I think it truly has a place in Rocket League, certainly at my level. I do believe as well that at some point we will see somebody who genuinely uses a Merc as a second car. They're not playing well, the mechanics aren't popping off, they're feeling heavy, whatever it is. Switch to the Merc, go demo mode, get some clean 50-50s, and it might just, steal a game back for whatever team it is and whatever player. So that is my dream, that we'll see a Merc secondary user in the RLCS.
I love that it's a viable car now. Just to have something different on the pitch is very cool, no matter what car it would have been. So yeah, very, very cool. My favourite thing would be the Fortnite tie-in. The fact that you can play Fortnite and earn Rocket League items, and then vice versa, and also you got the Llama Rama event where you've got to earn like the battle bus and stuff like that, is absolutely fantastic. The player base has grown to I think we had a peak of nearly 1.9 million people as of 3 or 4 days ago, which was ridiculous, absolutely incredible. Helped on by free to play, helped on by Fortnite. Anybody who has said, I don't like that we're doing a Fortnite tie-in, firstly, you are dense and awful, and secondly, I hope you know that you are wrong because of how good it has been.
Very, very fair indeed. Also, Metanoris was using the Octane Llama thing decal, and
yes,
I didn't even
so
realise that's what
nice.
it was. It's just that's a nice decal, because I didn't really notice them, and I specifically noticed that one. Anyway, from @MuteVickers, can anybody beat Vitality if they play like they did in their semi?
Now, speaking as a professional of beating their semi, I think yes. I think I don't think that BDS offered them as much of a challenge as BDS could have done. I think Vitality did an unbelievably good job, but Shogun asked us on the pre-show, which didn't end up coming into the pre-show, for our hot takes, and then we could all discuss them and see what was going on. We ended up just looking at people on Twitter's hot takes. My one would have been, or one was going to be, BDS have become complacent, and I don't think they're going to win today, because they have not met too much resistance until Regional 3 Stage 2, at which point they were going to Game 5s a couple of times. Got through 3-0 regardless, but it was not the performance that we had otherwise seen. So I think, yes, I still think BDS are the better team over Vitality, but BDS cannot fall into the trap of complacency, which is where they currently are.
I mean, there were a couple of overtimes in that series. It wasn't till game, I think it was 4-1. It wasn't till game 5 that Vitality won it by a couple of goals, and that was the 4-0 when BDS. I think BDS sort of gave up after that overtime loss in game 4. So, and also, Endpoint could have beaten. I know you said the semi, but Vitality didn't play any worse in the finals. Endpoint could have beaten them with a little bit more luck. So
I think so as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dignitas realistically could have beaten BDS, and could have done well. Do you think anybody can beat Vitality if they play like they did in the semi?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I reckon that BDS at their best could have, and Endpoint in their final very well could have beaten them.
Yeah. Next question from Mini Cooper 114. So I have had the thought that Vert plays like a new version of early RLCS Jacob from NRG. Bump plays and just these weird touches and decisions that throw people off. Comments or thoughts on that?
Yeah, bump plays and weird touches and decisions that throw people off. I think as well that Virtuoso, what would have been one of my hot takes, is that Virtuoso is underrated and unappreciated as a mechanical player. If you look at Endpoint, he is the one that's most likely to fake. He loves letting the ball run across him.
The double fake that he did in, I think it was in stage 2.
Oh, that was so... Yeah, he almost got a triple fake. There has been some filthy things that Virtuoso does. So I think that Virtuoso plays more intelligently than Jacob did, even in Jacob's peak. But I certainly see what you're saying.
Yeah. Gotta be honest, I can't say that I looked at early RLCS with too much of an analytical eye, so I don't know much about how Jacob played back in the day, but I'll trust you, Mini Cooper.
From @Platimus Prime, can you elaborate on the pain that was felt when the count to 1645 in our Discord in the SubPar Discord was absolutely obliterated? I'd really love to relive that experience.
So, for people that don't know, we have got a channel in our Discord. The first channel, may I add, if you're thinking, well, they've got that in the rival Discord. Rival of fucking thieves.
Yeah, fuck
because
rival.
we had the idea first, at least in Rocket League, to have a channel that's dedicated to counting to infinity. That's our final aim. We want to get to infinity by counting in Discord. And recently, or the highest we've been, I think it was in November 2018 or something, we got to 1,645. The rules are that you have to say the number in your message, the next subsequent whole number, I think it's integer, next subsequent integer, and then you have to leave 5 people between your counts, and you cannot edit your message. And if you delete it, obviously, then it's not in there, then it doesn't work anymore. So, a couple of rules. And we got to, I think, 14-something, 13-something. And it was, and we got so close. And if people know Dignitas, you might have heard of Duck Moriarty. Ugh. He decided to type out the entire fucking word. So not just 1464 or whatever. He typed out FOURTEEN SIXTY FOUR. By that time, someone had already written the numbers 1466, whatever it was, and put that in. And so then he was late and he fucked it. And I knew that we were never getting to 1645 again. That was I have muted the channel. I can't go to it for now because it's too heartbreaking.
Coward. I'm in, mate. I've just
Did you just do a count?
Yeah, 170. Boosh. So yeah, we normally get to about 100, but we normally get between 100 and 200, and somebody messes it up. I would say our average number is 183.2, and we made it all the way to 1400, and shitty dickhead Duck Moriarty, who snores, by the way. Never get a hotel room with that guy. Just saying. Shogun and I let him stay in our hotel room after a Gfinity Elite Series, I think. It was after the final one where everybody wanted to stay an extra night so we could, get drunk lol back in the day. And Duck Moriarty snores, so just make him sleep on the street.
I think I stayed with Johnny that night.
Do you want to retroactively swap?
I stayed with when we got back to the hotel. I think it was one of the nights when we got back to the hotel. And do you remember Data?
Yes.
Yeah, big man Data. He came back with us, and I think we got back to our hotel room about 7 in the morning. Oh no, we got back there at 5 in the morning, and he had to get to the other side of London to catch his flight at 7. He was so drunk. He literally went to open the door and missed the handle and was on his way to get a plane. And me and John were just we don't know if he's going to get home, but Godspeed. And we just went to bed.
Good times. I miss the Elite Series so much. Hashtag bring it back.
Hashtag
4 more years.
4 more years. Hashtag MAGA. From @TheGeesLeet should I use code SubPar on the item shop, just in case you hadn't mentioned it in the Poddy yet, smiley face close bracket?
Yeah.
Probably. So what's the code?
SubPar.
How do you spell that?
SUBPAR.
Cool. So everybody make sure that you do that. That's our creator code on Epic as well. So if you're just on Epic and you're buying something, put in SubPar. And, we get a little bit of dosh, and you don't miss out on any dosh, on any wonga.
Dollar bills, y'all. Okay, the next one is from J Wafor, who says, after almost a full split, has it hit you yet that you've casted big matches on Championship Day? Or is it still kind of a fever dream?
Every now and then, I accidentally slip into the routine of it, where I'm like, okay, right, I'm casting tonight, or whatever. Then I think, no, I'm casting tonight. And then we look at the schedule, and it's like, oh, I'm casting BDS versus Dignitas to how many tens of thousands of people. Holy shit.
Yeah,
how cool is that? And I have to sort of take myself out of it and kind of step back to think, this is an incredible position that we have been put in, that we've ultimately worked towards, but also that has been given to us by Psyonix, and by E-League as well for the secondary stream. And I, every time, am incredibly grateful. When we finish up, I'm like, fuck yeah, that was really cool.
I'm the same, yeah. I think it hit me a few days ago where I was like, I think it was the day after Sunday, where I was like, I was on twitch.tv/Rocket League yesterday. I mean, I'm still of the opinion that if when one of them mentioned Cole, I go, oh, that's me! Linnea, listen, they said my name.
If Leaf ever says, thanks, Colin Stumpy, or in the Skybox, Colin Stumpy, I'm like, that's me!
In the Skybox! I like the Skybox. So yes, it does hit us occasionally.
Very cool.
And it's amazing.
From @Mos2004, were you disappointed that there wasn't a player that used the battle bus on Sunday RLCS EU finals?
I was disappointed. I mean, No, was I? I don't know. I think it would have been funny.
I was disappointed, but I wasn't.
I'm trying to think, because to me, being disappointed implies that you expected something to happen, and I never expected it to happen. I do expect, as I said earlier, to see the Merc find its way into the competitive landscape. The Battle Bus won't. The Battle Bus is too weird. I tried it, and I really wanted to be as good with the Battle Bus as I was in the Merc. It's just not possible. So I can't see it ever happening unless Vitality are up against a team that managed to scrape through open qualifiers and they're feeling particularly mean and use different cars. That's the only way I can see it happening.
I hope that it is used. I won't say I'm disappointed because it was the first weekend and you don't expect anybody to be using it realistically that quickly. Apart from the fact, to be fair, that we saw Kerrion from Solar, who famously used the Harbinger. And also Devo, which is somebody that I should have said use the Harbinger. Instead of Kerrion on the pre-show. I was, I think, a bit disappointed, but realistically, it made sense. One thing that they need to do with the battle bus, tighten up the turning circle a bit. That thing steers like a fucking tugboat. It's ludicrous. You can't. It's insane.
It does make cool noises when you pass a different car or go supersonic though, and you hear
It's very cool.
Final question from @AmilCole93. Can I please get paid this month?
Thank you, everybody, for listening to SubPar Poddy C episode number 52. We have covered the regional number 3 for Europe, and we're looking forward to regional number 3 for North America. If you guys would like to support this podcast and therefore us on Patreon, head over to patreon.com/subpar but in HD. $1 a month, you get to listen to them early, and we read your name out on the episode, and we'll tell you...
Fuck off!
Fuck off. Come on, fuck off.
Exactly.
All right. See you later, team.
Bye.
Fuck you all. Fuck off.